hmm Hurricanes, Typhoon Tip in 1979. Yes. hmm The lowest recorded barometric pressure. Yeah. Meaning it had the strongest ever low pressure system fueling it. Oh. The worst Atlantic hurricane season, a record breaking 28 tropical storms were recorded in 2005. Yeah. 15 of which became hurricanes. 5 were bad enough to have their names retired. Ouch. Category 5, Emily, Katrina, Rita, and Wilma. Yeah. It seems to me that we spend an immense amount of money. Yes. Repairing ourselves because of the acts of God. Yes. But when it involves spending some money to prevent these, yeah. We have lots of technology that can identify them. Yes. But we don't have an answer. Well, I use 10,000 degree steam because when you start pulling that air off the ocean, yeah, it it takes a lot of water. It's probably like a half a foot to a foot of ocean water to produce that temperature of steam. Now, when you're steaming that much water to produce that much steam, yes, it has an effect of attaching itself to the rest of the hurricane, saying, well, why don't you just lift off the ocean? Yes. Why don't you go way up there in the atmosphere? And then it ended up freezing where the hurricane was. Yes. Now, I'm sure that somebody that has a computer can see that these acts of God 2005. Yeah, I don't like them. So I don't think that God wants to destroy the United States. I don't think he does. Now, for all the insurers and the reinsurers that said, well, it was an act of God, sometimes they enrich themselves at the expense of the taxpayers, thinking that, well, we got a lot of them, it doesn't really matter. Now, these taxpayers that happen to be citizens, I'm one of those, though I haven't paid taxes in approximately 10 years. Yes. Now, I did give you some actual evidence that I was employed at one time. Yeah. But you falsified my driver's license. You kidnapped my sons. Yes. You fabricated evidence against me, and then you refused to allow me to sue you. Well, these lawsuits, they seem like a lot of money. It's probably $1 trillion worth of them. And you say, well, we can't do it because nobody can take my job. I'm a police officer. I'm a sheriff. I mean, there's a real shortage, yes, of individuals that would want to work in law enforcement. Unless, of course, you provided them a free education. You told them that they make 35 to $50,000 a year, and for all you very experienced, yes, detectives, oh, those that have been on the force for at least 10 years, yes, that it takes decades to learn how to investigate a good case, yeah, to get the evidence, ooch, to get the bad guy. I would think maybe 90 to 95% of the actual prosecutions for crime, yeah. If you did have the evidence, it's very easy to get the conviction. And of the 95% of all cases that are plea bargained, yeah. hmm the individual must feel some guilt for what they did, otherwise they wouldn't have accepted the plea bargain. Now, for all those criminals that have been violating all those laws, yes. A lot of police and sheriff's departments feel that they're invaluable in being able to arrest you and have you convicted. But my thought is a 2-year graduate from an actual institution that teaches what the law is, yes, they could write good police reports. They would have real probable cause to believe that you're the criminal. Yeah. And they'd have the supporting witnesses to back them up. Pew! Now, since I wasn't in Squim and I wasn't in Jefferson County and I wasn't committing any of these crimes, yeah, I'd just as well replace all of those in law enforcement that think that their life experience of being on the force. Well, we have some forgeries, and there's no forensic handwriting experts that can see the forgery of the ex officio superior court clerk. No, there's no civil rights individuals that don't see the violating of the due process rights of myself, my sons, or the petitioner. Yeah. In fact, the individuals employed right now seem to think that of the 95% of cases that are plea bargained, The only reason an individual would agree to a plea bargain is if they had some thought that they might be guilty. Oh. So really, we're just talking about 5% of the cases throughout the nation. Yes. The persons that say, no, let's go to trial because I'm not guilty. I mean, why would you want to go to trial if you could plea bargain when you do know your own guilt? Now, I know a lot of us thought this whole plea bargaining system was a complete waste of time. Yes. Unless you're innocent, then you would always want to go to trial and you would always want the jury to decide not guilty. Now, for any public defender to suggest to an individual that does not or is not guilty, yeah, well, I think we should plea bargain it. I'm like, no, I don't think so. I didn't commit a crime. I would never agree to any plea bargain unless I had a reasonable assurance in my own self, yes, that I'd actually committed the crime. Then I would plea bargain because I wouldn't want to go to fucking